This video will focus on APA 7th edition guidelines for seriation. Now, when I talk about seriation, essentially I just mean lists that you are using in your text. And we're going to cover considerations for formatting those lists so that they meet APA guidelines. Now, this is a structure that we use fairly commonly within writing, where you are combining three or more items. So here you see each participant was asked about their background, experience, and concerns. So my items, background, experience, concerns. When I have three or more, I need to incorporate a comma after each item. And when we talk about Oxford commas or serial commas, sometimes they're referred to as, we're talking about the one you see here after experience, before the and the last item. You need to ensure that you have that comma included there. Now, if I was doing something similar where I'm incorporating three or more items, but I wanted to provide further information about those items, you can see here when I discuss background, I incorporate which included questions on gender and ethnicity. I'm also incorporating further information for my other two items, which are the exact same that I used in my example above: background, experience, concerns. I still need to separate that information, but because I already am using commas in my descriptions of those items, I switch over to separating the items themselves with a semicolon. Now, another option that you have, if you want to show some type of distinction or draw awareness to the fact that you are separating out items, or also we use this if the items are parallel, meaning that there's no more weight to one than the other. You can do something like so. So you can see this flows as a sentence. I start with the colon, and then I can separate my items with a lowercase letter that's incorporated between the parentheses. And I'm still separating with that comma. But this is a great way to show that distinction, but you're not bringing as much attention or awareness as you would if you were using a bulleted list or a numbered list. The same rules apply for this one as they did with the one that I showed you previously. If I was adding additional information and was using commas to describe each item, then I would separate again with a semicolon between each of the letters. Now, if you do want to draw attention to your list, you really want it to stand out for your reader. You can do this in a couple of ways. You can use numbered lists, and with numbered lists, we generally use these for complete sentences, or sometimes you would use these if you were incorporating full paragraphs. But a numbered list also helps to show some type of chronological order, or if you were trying to show level of importance, etc. So there's some thought behind the use of numbered lists. But when we format them, they would look like so. You can see here that I've started with the colon, and then I've got my number one, two, three, and these are full, complete thoughts. They're full sentences. I end with punctuation, but because they are full thoughts, I start by using a capital letter for each word. Now, additionally, you can use bulleted lists. And we tend to use these if we're incorporating phrases, so not complete thoughts or items, but there's not really a focus on the order as there is when you're using numbered lists. So in formatting this, we still could start with the colon. And then you see, because it's not a full sentence, each of my bulleted list items start with a lowercase letter. I also don't necessarily need to incorporate punctuation in between each of them. I do have that option, and it would look something like so. And if I wanted it to read as a complete thought or as like one big sentence that was just separated to show attention on each of those items, I would need to ensure that I used a period to end that list. Now, one other thing just to notice, you can see here I'm using a bulleted list. I have no need to focus on order, so I am incorporating full sentences, full thoughts. I am using that capital letter for my first one. But what I want you to notice is where it's lined up. The bulleted list comes underneath the same, like where the text starts with employees, right? That's lined up directly. And then it's indented point two. So you can see the text is aligned and it's indented point two. How do I do that? Well, if you're in Microsoft Word, you can go ahead and start your sentence, go up to the top if you're in home, and you will select the bulleted list icon. But then when you select on this arrow and it gives you the options, you can select define new bullet. This is the information that you'll see. Typically with Microsoft Word, you have it and automatically formatted where it's indented at 0.25. And then you can also see the text position is indented at 0.5. So what you can go ahead and do is just insert here a 0 for indent. So that'll align it under your text. And then for text position, 0.2. And if you select OK with that, the bullet will then move under to align under your text.